Hi, so here we're going to do the cross stitch. This is a type of embroidery stitch. You pull the thread up from the back of your fabric and then using a diagonal hole, pull the thread back down the diagonal stitch. You then repeat underneath to form a cross. For the next stitch, you will start on the previous stitch that came up from the back of the fabric, not the last one that you did, because this will cause it to come undone. But if you repeat that process along, so you will see that it's forming a nice line of crosses as you go along. The cross stitch embroidery stitch is quite good for turning images into an embroidery, and you'll see using different colours how good it can look when they're all combined. Again, I'm using the Binca fabric. This is just good for showing you, especially for showing children, because the holes are quite wide. This is quite a wide count one. And it's easy to practice on as opposed to using a normal fabric or a smaller count Ada, for instance. Obviously this is quite a thick fabric, so there's no need for a hoop, but a lot of people do like to use hoops, embroidery hoops, to produce their stitches on. But for the purposes of this video, we're just using this Binca fabric. So you can see that the stitches are forming quite a nice line now. And then when you turn it over, you'll see, if you've done it using the process whereby you go through the previous stitch and keep that as a rhythm, rather than going in different holes on the opposite sides of the cross, you get the nice shape on the back of the fabric as well. So I'm just going to stitch downwards as well, so you can see how it looks as a block. And you'll notice, with it being a block of colour, how prominent this turns out when it's going over a picture. So for cross stitch images, you normally have the image printed onto the fabric, and then you go over that image with the thread. You also might find in a pattern sheet the count of how many crosses are within a certain area of the image. Normally you do use the 4 holes for a smaller cross. This builds up to a nice image when it's finished. So we're nearly at the end of this second row. It's quite a nice embroidery stitch to teach younger children, and it's quite relaxing to do as well. So when you're finished, you'll see that nice pattern on the back if you've followed the same sequence. Just make sure to tie a knot by going underneath the previous stitch, and then you're going to form a loop to make sure that your needle goes underneath, and then pull that to form the knot.